Hi everyone, I'm Daniela and welcome back to Black Cat Kitchen. Today we're making a classic Australian treat, the Lamington. This soft vanilla cake is coated in a beautiful chocolate frosting and then dipped in coconut. But if you're not a coconut fan, I'm going to give you some options at the end to switch it up a bit. Let's jump into the recipe.
You'll find a list of ingredients and measurements in the description below.
I've lined an 8-inch square baking pan with butter and parchment paper. But if you haven't got parchment, you can use butter and dust it with a little bit of flour. Preheat your oven to 170 degrees Celsius or 325 degrees Fahrenheit.
Into your mixing bowl, add 200 grams or 2 cups of castor or superfine sugar. To this, we'll add 4 eggs. I like to crack my eggs in a separate bowl just in case any bits of shell break off. Then add in 4 grams or 1 teaspoon of a good quality vanilla extract. As this is the only thing flavoring our sponge, make sure you're using a high quality vanilla. These ingredients need to be whisked together until the mixture is really light and pale yellow in color. You can do this with a stand mixer or a hand mixer, or if you've got some really good arm muscles, you can do it with a whisk. I've let this whisk for about 4 minutes, and you can tell it's the perfect consistency because it leaves just a light trail of ribbon when you lift the whisk up, like this. Next, we'll sift in 200 grams, about 3/4 cups and 1 tablespoon of flour, and 4 grams, 1 teaspoon of baking powder. We sift this in to add extra air to the cake mix, keeping it really light and fluffy. Fold the flour into the egg mixture carefully so that you don't lose any of that air. Once the flour is completely incorporated, add in 100 grams, 7 tablespoons of melted butter. Gently fold that into the mix until completely combined. When it looks like this, pour it into your pre-prepared pan. Spread your cake mix all the way to the corners and give it a little jiggle and a tap to make sure it's nice and even. Now into the oven.
This is going to bake for 25 minutes or until the skewer comes out perfectly clean. You'll want to let the cake cool completely and even pop it in the fridge for a few hours to make sure you get the cleanest slices.
Trim the sides of your cake so that you have perfectly clean edges. For perfect cubes, make sure to measure. My cake measured up at 6 inches, so to make 16 perfect cubes, I'm cutting mine down to 1.5 inches each. I gently score the top of my cake before cutting, just to make sure they're absolutely perfect. Once all of your lines are scored, very gently cut through your cake. And because I'm a little bit extra, I'm going to trim off the tops of the cakes so that they're perfect cubes. This step is optional and they'll still look beautiful even with a slightly domed top. Here are the ingredients you'll need for your icing. Into a sieve over a large bowl goes 290 grams or 2.5 cups of icing sugar. Mine is really lumpy because it's so damp in the UK right now, so for the smoothest icing, you really want to sieve this. Next, sift in 45 grams or 1/8 cup of cocoa powder. Make sure you're using an unsweetened cocoa powder. You'll want to add a good pinch of salt just to bring out the chocolatey flavor and balance the sweetness. Whisk until it's completely mixed together. Now add in 160 milliliters, just less than 3/4 cups of whole milk, and 50 grams, about 3.5 tablespoons of melted butter.
Hey there, it's future Daniela. I know you heard me say 160 milliliters of milk, and that's right, but sometimes my brain doesn't work. 160 milliliters, so I only added in 60 here. You can tell the icing's really thick and not the consistency we want at all. So here I am adding in a few more drops till we get up to that 160 milliliter level, and now it's perfect. Back to the video.
We're going to pour our icing into a smaller bowl with higher sides so that it's easier to dip our cakes.
If you're not a coconut fan, there are a few different options that you can use to coat your Lamington. Finely chopped nuts would be a great option, but my favorite, if they're not coconut, are sprinkles.
For half of the cakes, I'm going to dip them in the sprinkle mix. I've mixed sort of long sprinkles and little circular ones just to add a little bit of differentiation on the cake. And for the traditional Lamingtons, we're using a finely desiccated coconut. This adds such a nice flavor and they look so pretty. So we'll take a cake from our lined baking sheet, dip it into the chocolate with 2 forks, and lift it out to allow some of that icing to drip off and then into our desired topping. I use my hand to flick the coconut over top of the iced cake. This makes it a little bit easier to move it around and pick it up with your fingers. Your fingers might get a little sticky, so if that bothers you, you might want to put some gloves on for this. After a few minutes, that chocolate will start to set up, and this is what your finished Lamington will look like. Repeat the process until all of your Lamingtons are coated. You can eat these straight away, but I like to let mine set up just a little bit in the fridge. I love the way the icing sort of seeps into the sponge after it's been left to sit for just a little while. A perfect treat for Australia Day or any day.
If you're a fan of Lamingtons, please give this video a big thumbs up. And if you're looking for another great snack to serve at tea time, check out my scone recipe here. And hit the subscribe button for more videos. See you in the next one.